Welcome back to Call of the Pen. This is Brandon Kinsler with my co-host Steve Cishek, and we have a special guest today, former teammate and World Series champion, now a bench coach, Daniel Descalso. And before we get to Daniel, Steve, I wanted to talk about my first real weekend of being a dance dad. And I'm very biased, but these judges suck.
What do you got?
I'm watching some dances that I'm like falling asleep on, and this girl wins. How the heck did that girl win? I thought it was terrible.
Did you guys choreograph it?
I didn't choreograph it.
Just freelanced it?
I was just there watching it as a dance dad. You know, I had to sit there for 9 hours. First, here's the worst part. Call time, 5:30 in the morning. So you have to wake up at 4:30, show up with your kid at 5:30, and she's on stage at 7:03. And then she's got to dance again later, and then the awards after that. So that's a long day. I didn't find the bar until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, though, which I wished I would have known there was a bar there the whole time.
Just early. You're an early riser like that?
My wife said I have to go. So
I thought you would have choreographed the dance yourself. You took great pride in it. Now you're super butthurt because the judges didn't give you a good score.
Well, maybe I should do that, and then I could feel. I guess my opinion would matter. But either way, moving on. That was my dance that weekend. I was pissed. The judges suck. It's all.
Who's worse, umpires or dance judges?
Dance judges, just an opinion. It's just one person's opinion. And then you go. The thing is about this, you don't even accumulate points. You just go and pay for this national. You get an award, and then all that's over. At least like in BMX, there's like points throughout the whole year. At least you could get a ranking. This is just. We should start our own dance thing, national travel. They could pay us. We'll have Steve to be a judge. We just say he's a judge. Either way. So Daniel, what made you want to be a bench coach?
Honestly, it happened a little bit sooner than I thought. Like getting back into the dugout. We were talking about earlier. Last year I had a nice gig. I was a special assistant, kind of popping in and out, setting my own schedule. But I knew I always wanted to get back into the game. Which is why I kind of jumped at the special assistant job last year, just to, stick around and not be out too long, and then try to get back in, because that can be challenging. But just being in the dugout and being a resource for these guys, and trying to just pass on some of my experiences and some of my knowledge that I was fortunate enough to accumulate over the years, and just trying to help these guys, find a way to win, get an edge, and that's really what drew me to the job.
That's awesome. And you know what? I was actually reading up on you today. Something I didn't realize about you. Did you know this, kids? He started at UC Davis all 3 years, number one starter, weekend starter.
No, that's not true. That's high school.
That was high school?
High school, yeah.
I was like, dude, this guy's a stud. Not only can he work with the hitting, dude, he can work on the pitching side too.
But I did. Through my first 3, maybe even 4 appearances. No, it was 3 appearances in the big leagues. I was 9 up, 9 down.
No way.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I kept telling them, I don't want to pitch anymore. This is it. I don't want to pitch anymore, because eventually I was going to give up a hit. And then we were in Colorado for some reason. This is when I was with Arizona in 18. For some reason, our pen was short. We didn't call anybody up, and Buckholz blows out in the bullpen before the game, warming up to go out there, right? So then I think Shelby Miller had to start for us, and he had just come off the DL, or like he was coming off Tommy John, so he could only give us, 2 innings. And then Jorge De La Rosa comes in and gives it up, and I think TJ McFarland came in like he shouldn't have pitched that day, and I think he got hurt. So they go, it's the 4th inning, and like, hey D, can you come in the 4th if we need you? And I was like, I guess. So first. Coming in the 4th inning, I came in the bottom of the 4th inning, man on second. I had never give up a hit in the big leagues. I get Arenado to 2-strike count. I'm like, oh, if I can get him out or punch him out somehow, like this guy won't get a hit for a month. He shortened up and like shot me to right field, knocked in a run. Cargo comes up next, hit a ball like 5 feet over my head that got out to center field, and then it was just a boat race. The pitcher took me deep. It was bad. Like I threw 2 2/3 that night. I threw like 55 pitches, and then Alex Avila threw 2 innings behind me.
What?
Oh my!
It was embarrassing.
What year was that?
That was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. So
You did it for the boys, though.
You did.
I did punch out Parra that night, though. I
Oh,
punched
boy.
out Parra, so I got a real big league strikeout.
You keep the ball?
That was your first
I got
one?
it somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I punched out Garrett Cole before, but it was in the top of the ninth, and he had a complete game going. He just statued me for 3 pitches, so I didn't really count that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a tough one to count. So
Let me ask you this. Well, Kent, first of all, do you have a big league hit?
No, I have 3 at bats.
Kinsler.
One against Max Scherzer, one against Jacob DeGrom, and one against Brandon Lyon. All
right.
pitch out. No, I did
So you
line
said-
out off the Grom. Sorry, I lined out off the Grom.
Not a hit. So, anyways, would you count? You said that you struck out a pitcher on 3 pitches. I got a bunt hit for my only hit. Does that count still or no?
100%.
All
That's
right.
a hit. That's a
And
hit
you-
because you can run. You got a bunt hit.
That's right. Were you on the team yet? You weren't on the team yet. Either of you weren't. I got off my 4 years with the Marlins. My throwing partner, Mike Dunn. He threw me an 0-2 slider. He's throwing 95. I've never seen that in my life. And he throws me an 0-2 slider. Does me a favor. No one covering first. Kid safe.
Oh, so you
Winging bunt or you bunted?
No, dropped it down. Dropped it down.
They kept the sack on 0-2.
Yeah.
Wow,
Sack
that's
on 0-2.
great.
They didn't know I could hit missiles, so after that, I was free swinging.
I didn't know you had a sack. I didn't know you had nuts like that to go 0-2. You should have did that when you were pitching.
Yeah, I don't know. Good bunter. I'm good at bunting. I did get a hit
Daniel-
stolen from me.
Daniel, so now that you're on the other side, we always thought was like the enemy side. Do you feel a little different? You see like the analytics, and you're in a game now that your decision matters. Like the analytics start coming to play. Where as a player, you're probably like we're all always against some of those decisions. Do you feel like it's different now?
Like towards my end of my time in Arizona, like I kind of started to look at the matchup sheets and stuff, and I didn't always agree with them, but I understood why these guys are pinch hitting people here and there, or bringing this guy in this lane. But now, like we try to go over the game, from a availability standpoint. The thing that's the most different for me is obviously the bullpen stuff. Trying to figure out which reliever we're going to bring in a certain situation. And it seems to always, like, no matter what, it's always like the situation we talk about before the game, the one where we're like kind of in between, that's the one that always comes up. And so, and it happens fast. Like all of a sudden, starters rolling along, one thing happens, boom, boom, boom. They score a couple runs. We got to get a guy up, get a guy hot, make sure it's the right guy. And then front office guys will come down maybe the next day and be like, hey, so did you guys think about doing this here or this there? Or what was the conversation? Like they just check in, and most of the time we have like, a good reason why. And it's a lot easier upstairs to second guess. But with all the numbers and the matchups, like it's easy to just go by the sheet they give you. And like, that's a way to cover your ass. I'm like, well, the matchup said this is the guy that should be facing this guy here. But I think at the end of the day, you have to know your players and put them in spots where they can succeed.
So you did drink the juice then?
No,
analytic juice.
I think you have to use both, right? Like there's teams that are all the way analytics, and there's not many left, but there's more old school teams, and I think there's a way to blend both. But I think if you rely on analytics and don't go by feel or instinct, then I think you can jam yourself up sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a clear cut, like, oh, the analytics, and this guy's got good command. Like, we're going to trust him in this situation. That's the easy ones we're talking about. But the gray area situations that's got to just rattle your brain if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, we had one kind of the other night. Like Gio Gallegos has pitched a lot of meaningful innings for this team over the last few years. He's been struggling to start this season. 2 of our guys in our bullpen were down. Helsley and Romero were both down, so we had to try to find a way to get it to Kittredge in the 9th inning, and we were tied and brought Gio in. It didn't work out, but that's like ultimately that's not my call. We have like myself and the pitching coach and the manager kind of talk about it, and our manager's always like kind of beating himself up for bringing Gio in, even though he got the guy to 2 strikes, couldn't put him away, gave up a homer, gave up a double the next pitch after getting ahead with 2 strikes again. But he'll beat himself up pretty good if there's some debate about who to bring in and the guy we bring in doesn't get the job done. But that's where I think you just have to like we have some young guys in the pen that we're starting to trust more. But like if you've seen a veteran guy go out there and do it and get the job done, you're probably gonna lean on him before you see if that young guy can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think with your two main guys down in a big spot, and you have a guy that has been good before, and you're like, man, if we could get that guy going, you're trying to find a big spot to where if he gets out of that, the confidence is huge, and that helps your team. But then it's like, if he struggles, and it's like, man, he's to the back of the bus, and it's so like it's hard for the team, and it's hard for you guys, and it's hard for him.
So do you go with the veteran that's done it before, that the stuff hasn't really been there this year, or do you go with the younger kid who we kind of maybe hid from the first couple weeks of the year, but he's had some good outings and he's thrown he has better stuff, but he doesn't have that experience throwing in those leverage spots, and that's kind of where we're stuck at that point.
I would say, who would throw strikes first?
Yeah.
And that's where I would at least start with, like, because if you got to trust someone, at least throw strikes. Because if he comes in and he just walks everyone, you don't even have a fighting chance.
Yeah, early in the season though, too, like you guys see what those young kids are made of. If it's an opportunity, like you got a struggling veteran guy, it's like, shoot, throw him out there. If he's thrown strikes in the past, let's see what he's made of. At least this early in the season, it's not totally do or die right now. Yeah, that's tough though. I can see the the tension there.
So we have this kid in the bullpen. His name Ryan Fernandez, Rule 5 guy that ends up making the team because we have a couple injuries, and we'll try like early in the season, first week, trying to find like a soft landing for him. There's close games against the Dodgers, like no spot to bring him in. Finally, we get to the last game of the series. We're like a week into the season, bring him in against the Padres. Kind of a big spot, I think like first and second, nobody out. Punches out the first guy, punches out the second guy. I think he punched out the side, like showed some balls out there. And so from there, like I think he gained some confidence. He's been pitching in some higher leverage. He's been a kind of a guy in the 6th inning that can get us to our back end guys. If we're up one, he can keep it close if we're down 1 or 2. So he's definitely done a good job of going out there and earning the manager's trust.
That's awesome.
That's good to see the Rule 5 kids, because they gotta have a chip on their shoulder, and if they don't pitch good, they're gone anyways, right? Yeah,
it's a tough spot to be in, man. Like if he didn't find a way to, like if we didn't keep him with us, his stuff was good enough, and he showed well in spring that somebody else would have claimed him, when he offer him back. But yeah, it's a tough spot because you have to pitch well, otherwise you're gone.
Do you find yourself getting what part of the game do you find yourself with your heart just starts beating where you're getting nervous? Because is it somewhere you've had to help a decision? You're like, oh my God, please just work out.
There was I found a tell in against the Dodgers, from the dugout, and I was calling out some pitches from the dugout, and my heart was pounding because like I was in the box with those guys. I'm like, man, if I call the wrong one, and it's it's a heater when I said whatever I was saying to get off speed, like I'm going to get the look of death from the box. But man, we got a couple of big hits in that situation. And at that time there was pitching coach and the manager were trying to figure out who to bring in next. And I was like, they were asking me questions and I was like, dude, I cannot help you right now. I'm so locked in on this. Like I cannot mess this up and give this guy the wrong pitch. So like, you guys got to figure this one out on your own.
Don't mess that one. You must have probably gained a lot of respect from the younger kids or even older. Well, obviously you already had respect from the older guys, but the other guys don't know who you are. And all of a sudden you come in, you got tips and it works. And you're like, man, this guy is actually smart.
Yeah. So now, and the way I got it, it was a pretty good way. It's now every once in a while they'll come up to, hey, are you seeing any of this today? You seen any of that? I was like, no, I don't have anything yet today, but I'll let you know.
That's awesome. By the way, back to the bullpen, Andrew Kittredge. Kent, do you know anything about him? He's got to be, to me, like I played with him in Tampa. I think he's like one of the most underrated relief pitchers in the game. Dude gets it done year in, year out.
Years ago, wasn't
he? He's like Kinsler, but better.
More reliable. Doesn't complain.
Throws harder. Quiet. Good on the. I guess apparently he's pretty good on the microphone in the on the bus. So
that's great.
You know what? I'm gonna go look him up. Let's go.
No, he's been great. Like, he gave a homer last night, but like the guy's been perfect all year for us. Comes in, big spot, 94, 95 sinker, good slider. take the ball
I could do
whenever.
that.
He's been great.
That's cool.
How'd you guys get
how's
him?
it been for you? Oh, go ahead. How'd you guys get him?
Oh, we traded. They traded outfielder, like a younger kid, Palacios, that was up a little bit last year, and traded just straight up for Kittredge. I know he's coming off. He pitched a little bit last year, coming off of Tommy John in 22. He hasn't been healthy, and he's healthy now and throwing the ball great for us.
Yeah, he's never healthy. Look, he's at 196 career games. I remember that. Get out of here.
He's nasty, dude.
Yeah,
the last time he pitched more than 50 games was 2021. Before that,
All-Star. Was he an All-Star that year?
57 games. You're an All-Star for 57 games. I think we had that at the half one time.
You just stoked the fire, Descalso. I mean, you can say anything bad about kids.
I think JoJo and Kittredge and Helsley are on pace for like astronomical amount of appearances this year. Like we haven't won a game that Helsley hasn't. Helsley pitched in all 15 of our wins.
Yeah, but
good. Pay the man.
That's exactly.
I know. I was joking with the GM. I'm like, hey, Helsley's gonna have like 90 saves this year, 90 appearances. You guys have to pay him like $38 million. He's like, no, we'll find a way to send him down at the break. I'm like, you would.
Let's see.
Hey, man. In history, though, I mean, you've played against these teams. Like, remember the Braves when they had Flaherty, Venners, Kimbrel?
Oh,
their top three guys threw like every day. The
every
Royals,
day, you're right. Yeah.
Herrera.
What happened to Flaherty and Venters? Like those guys
That's true.
broke. You know, you can't do that every day.
You can't do it, especially to a guy that throws 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only do it to guys that throw underhand like Steve did. Like Steve would go 68, 69, 67. Look at this. 62, 80, 70, 74.
Yeah, he's a workhorse.
Hey, you got to throw underhand.
It's a glitch.
That's the only way you guys can do that.
Find the glitch. It also helps I didn't throw hard, but
yeah, it's been nice. I think last year or the last couple of years they've used Helsley in like for more than 3 outs, bring him in the eighth and have him get the ninth. We've been trying not to do that this year so that we have him available, more often than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the pitching coach there?
It's a wrap.
His name's Dusty Blake.
Okay.
He came from college a couple years ago and was like the third pitching guy under Maddox and the bullpen coach, and then Maddox left for Texas. They hired him. He's pretty good. He does a really good job with those pitchers. He holds them accountable, demands a lot from them. Yeah, he does a nice job.
Did he pitch in the big league?
Did not. He did not pitch in pro ball at all.
Oh, see, that's tough. When let's just say it's the 7th inning and shit's going crazy out there, and he walks out there. He can't tell me how to calm down, or he can't tell me anything because he hasn't been in the situation. That's hard. I've always had a problem. I didn't have a problem with it, but it was hard to like have that conversation with the pitching coach when he says it. It's like, what are you going to tell me? You've never even done this before. Yeah.
So when those guys come out there, what are you looking like? What helps in that situation? Like, what do you you need a breather? You need a way to refocus back in, or what are you looking for those guys to tell you on the mound in those spots?
A little bit of both. One, quality. I need reassurance of like I'm doing I don't suck right now. Like I'm okay. But just give me a breather and give me self-comp. But tell me how to like refocus, be present again. It's because obviously when stuff's spinning, going fast, you're not very present. So you're just coming down and you're just acting like you've been here before, and you just calm it down.
Yeah,
that's just for me. What about you, Steve?
I mean, it's just about slowing the game down. I just need someone to say something just to refocus my mind. That's why I liked. I liked when guys came out there and they just said something stupid just to like reorient my mind, because I just need to get out of my own way. You know what I mean? Like that's why I liked Hickey. I liked Hickey because he's super dry humor guy, and he'll just roast me, and then I think it's great, and then I'm good to go. Like I just need to get real life. Like I'm in the dugout one time. My last year, I gave up a homer to Mark Hanna. I'm sitting there like, how was I like Mark Hanna, dude? And he comes casually, walks over to me, grabs the iPad, looks at the pitch. He goes, "What do you think the exit velo was?" I'm like, "I don't know, 110." He goes, "112." Puts the iPad down, just walks away. I'm like, "Okay, thanks, Jim." I like that.
Mark Hanna like giving up a home run,
especially now with the pitch clock. I don't have any homers off you guys.
You hit a double off me in single low short season A ball.
Oh, nice. Way back, like in 2007.
Yeah,
Nice.
Batavia.
I think that was probably my last hit off you.
I don't remember facing you. It was spring training in 2020.
I saved them all for Kins. I think I had a good at bat against you one night in Chicago, Steve, and I walked. It was like a long at bat.
That's probably right. I walked a lot of guys. I was scared.
He got me on a Sunday night baseball game. Huge double.
Oh yeah, A-Rod loved it. A-Rod loved it.
It was only like my seventh day in a row pitching, but
with the
here we go.
with the pitch clock now, like the game speeds up fast, and I can imagine like when you're on the mound and stuff's moving a million miles an hour, and there's no break. I think that they made a mistake in not giving the pitcher, like the batter gets a timeout every time appearance, right? It would not slow the game down to give the pitcher give the pitcher time, let him regroup and refocus, because a lot of time that's what you need, because you're back on the mound in 18 seconds, whatever. It speeds up. It goes fast.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. We trained our whole career to slow it down, breathe, slow your mind, get a routine. All of a sudden, it's like, surprise, you got 18 seconds and you don't get a timeout. And apparently, I heard like Shohei last year would like tie his shoes like 4 times just to like buy time. Yeah. Is that allowed? Like, if you tie your shoe, does the clock stop?
Yeah. They're supposed to reset it. I think if they would obviously probably never tell Shohei that he can't do that, but they're supposed to. If you try to game it, they're supposed to tell you to stop. But that's one way to do it. You can wait until the clock gets to 12, ask for a new ball. That's always a good one. But now, before, the clock didn't start until you were on the dirt. Now, if you have to cover first on a PFP or something, once you get the ball back, the clock's supposed to start again.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I know.
That's the worst.
They're just shaving seconds now. They got the games down to, I think they started to see last year some people were manipulating it, and so they instead of keeping it how it was last year, they tried to take even more time off the game. I don't know.
That's crazy. Well, it's good for the fan. Watching a game more than 2.5 hours is tough. So
it moves the game moves fast now. If you're in the stands and watching, it's kind of great. I love it. And but I do think there needs to be a moment where a pitcher can call time and slow the game down. If it's a big spot, you don't want to have to rush, get sped up. You guys can't get on the same page with the pitch comm, and you got to throw a pitch that you're not committed to because you didn't have time and you were out of disengagements or whatever the reason.
Totally. I mean, I bet for you guys, pregame preparations is at an all-time high now, because you don't have time to react out there. Talk about pre-planning on situation, stuff like that. That's huge.
Yeah, you try to figure out all right, if a starter gives us 5 and we're at this spot in the order, who do we like to get us through this lane? And then if they bring in pinch hitters, do we have somebody behind? Do we let him go through the whole inning? Is it his? And how, I guess we kind of, the way we would like to work it is all right, Helsley's closing, kind of match up in the 7th or 8th, depending on their hitters with JoJo, the lefty, and with Kittredge, righty. Even though they kind of can both pitch to both sides are pretty neutral, splitting wise. And then how do we get it to those guys? And luckily our starters have done a pretty good job of getting into the past 5, and Gibson's done a good job. Lance Lynn's done a nice job. Sonny's been fun to watch. I mean, that guy's
incredible.
That guy's a stud. The way he prepares, his intensity, the way he knows what he wants to do on the mound has been pretty cool. And just trying to find a way to get through those 9 innings. There's a lot that we talked about before, but then it seems like you can't script everything, right? At some point you got to be able to just go off a feel and know your guys.
Yep.
At what part of the game are you start thinking about the bullpen? Because I know us, we were down there. What do you think, Steve? We're watching the pitch count. When we saw 70, 75, we're that's when you're okay, something's going to be happening in the next inning or so. So
I think the last few weeks we've kind of tried to not focus so much on the pitch count. If Gibson gives us 6 innings or Sonny gives us 6 innings and they're at 70, 75 pitches, now we might let Sonny go a little bit longer, but if we can get it to our back end, those 3 guys that have been really good, we might take him out at 75, 80 pitches. And I think these guys back there know that. Just so these guys are older. It's May. We don't necessarily want them to throw 90 to 100 pitches, and we've had a bunch of off days, so they've been getting like an extra day of rest. So I know there was a situation in Detroit. We let Gibby finish the inning. He got out of it. It was like 95 pitches through 7. He had given up, no runs. He was done though. So we've tried to focus on. We've tried to talk about not necessarily the pitch count, but the pitcher and making sure that they're able to take the ball as many times as they can this year.
See, Steve, they worry about the starter, not the reliever.
That's across the league.
They're on pace for 100 games, but the starters at 70, take them out.
I mean, that's just the game nowadays. Though every team's like just running relievers out like crazy, and I get it. Like relievers are nastier than ever now, but so are starters. It's just I wish we could just go back to the game where starting pitching would go through the lineup 3 times on a routine basis, and then you have your roles more set out in the bullpen. But just with how good baseball has gotten, I don't see how that's possible anymore.
I think it's important that guys know their roles in the bullpen. I'm sure you guys can attest to that. No one wants to be sitting down there and be like, all right, well, I wonder who's going to have the 7th tonight, or who's got, last year in Arizona when they traded for Seawald, it cleaned up the whole, all the roles down there because they were trying to close by committee. It was like Chafin was closing a little bit, McGuff, Castro, and it was like no one knew who it was that night. It's tough. Like
tough.
Especially the 9th inning. The 9th inning is different than the 7th, 8th, the last 3 outs. You guys have both done it. It's the hardest to get. And if you're sitting down there and you don't know who's got the 9th that night, it can't be easy to go out and do that. So once they got Seawald had the 9th. That Ginkle kid stepped up and he became the 8th inning guy, and the roles kind of fell into place. And I think that's important to just know what your role is. And yeah, if a guy's down, then your role might change. But if everyone's healthy and you know what your job is, that makes it you can prepare to do your job that much better.
100%. 100. You're going to be a good manager someday.
Well, we talked about Helsley during spring training, and there was some discussion on like, all right, do we want to try to get 4 outs out of him sometimes, like early? My vote was like no. Like maybe if in September, if we need him to get us 4 outs, like I'm cool with that. But in April, let's just try to keep him in the 9th inning so that we can have him to do that in September and not just tax him early.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and then Mo's got to get you a guy to fill in that role if there isn't one. That's part of the GM's job, and let you guys you can do your job and putting the right guys out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, at least 3 guys in the bullpen have to know their role.
Yeah.
The other 4 to 5 guys, whatever it may be, that's where I feel like is the mix and match. Like you got a guy that's gonna eat up innings, obviously. Got a fireman in there. And the rest, you got a 7, 8, 9 clear cut. Like this is, unless something crazy happens, you got to bring them in a little bit earlier. But for sure, the 3 horses have to have the roles.
And it's a little different since we have like one of those is a lefty, one's a righty. So like some nights Kittredge is in the 7th and JoJo's in the 8th, and other nights it's reversed just based on where they're at in the order, who they have on the bench. But it's been nice to kind of have those roles pretty clearly defined early on.
And that's okay because those guys can prepare for that. They can see the lineup.
Yeah.
Well, at least they have a good feel. And what a good story for JoJo, because I played with him in 21 and then he wasn't very good and then he got hurt and he had Tommy John. And it's been like a few years since he's even had his stuff back. Is he back to throwing the upper 90s?
He's like 94, 95 with that sinker. Slider's been good. Change up for righties. He's done a really nice job. I know he did a nice job last year. I didn't know he had Tommy John. I didn't know he was a Tommy John guy, but I knew you guys played together in Philly.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this.
How do you like playing with me? Ask him one day how I was.
I will. I'm going to. I'm sure he loved you like everybody else.
Oh yeah. Hey, how have you done so far? A couple of years out of the game, just not forgetting how difficult the game is. When you watch guys struggle and you feel that inner like competitiveness come out, it's like, but you realize like the game's hard. You got to remember that. How do you handle that?
I think it's been fine. Like I've always told myself, like no matter where my post-playing career takes me, that like just never forget how hard the game is. And I spent a lot of my career like just trying to stay relevant and carve out a role for myself, and it was never easy. So there've been, especially now with the way our offense is going. I go in the hitters meetings, and I've said some things a few times, but mostly about like our approach and our attitude and being being locked in the box and not worried about what my swing feels like or what my numbers are. Because I know it's harder when you start thinking about all the other stuff and like, oh, this is gonna be my first year ARB year, and this is my chance to make some money, and I'm off to a bad start, and like now I'm trying to force stuff. I think one thing we can always control is like our preparation and our attitude in the box and like what we're trying to do up there and committing to an approach and a plan. And I think we have some guys that are searching for their like swing right now, and some of that other stuff is going on the wayside. And I'm careful about the way that I've said it, but just trying to remind guys like the process and what's important, and not clouding our mind with all the other things that make it even harder to hit than it already is.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's one thing I did learn. I gained a lot of respect because what was 19? Like you got off to a hot start, and then you had that ankle injury.
It stunk.
And then it was just that ankle was just the end of it. But you like always you never showed that you were struggling or down, and you just still grinded. And then finally you're just like, okay, I gotta get my ankle fixed. But man,
it was a miracle that I even got off to that start that I did, because I showed up to spring training and I was like, I don't know, my swing feels awful. I can't drive the ball. And then I did get off to a hot start miraculously, right? I think people were still throwing me fastballs when for 10 years, I couldn't hit a curveball, and they just kept throwing me enough heaters that I could get hits. And then finally the league said, all right, we're going to make you hit curveballs. And I stuck. And
then they went to curveball and then fastball up. And then
exactly.
It was like,
and then I was in between, and that was it. I think, I don't know if it was, I lost some bat speed and couldn't cover those heaters anymore. But I always felt like, even when it was going bad, that the next day I was like, all right, something's going to click. I'm going to find it somehow, not by like trying something new, but just by the process of one pitch, one at bat, like something's going to click, and then I'm going to be back to feeling good in there and having a competitive at bat. And I think as a competitor, you always feel like you're close. Even when you're not, you just feel like it just takes one pitch or one at bat, and you could lock yourself right back in.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Like your daily, because we were locker mates, your daily attitude was really good. I tried to do my best to keep you going.
I know you did. You were great, bringing up video of like, hey, this is how you looked last year. Like, what do you get more in your legs here? Like, you're not only are you pitching coach to the superstars, you also are hitting coach.
Got Rizzo going one time too. You're right. I just want to win. I just want to win. I want to help everybody.
I respect that. We need
the thing is, if I try to take my mind off of myself, I won't have to think about my mechanics. I can just go help everyone else. That way I can just show up and I just play. I think that's what helped me.
I was the mechanics guy for Kent's day one. We're sitting on the plane. He turns around. You notice my hand sire? I'm like, oh, I'm Steve, by the way. Yeah, I mean, let's look at it.
Yeah, even the mechanics guy needs a mechanics guy.
Yeah.
You're right. We're right, because I don't want to think about it myself.
Right.
Yep. I mean, it's like a soft tissue guy. He needs a soft tissue guy to take care of his hands, right?
Who's going to rub him? Who's going to rub him down?
Yep.
But you do need a better fantasy football coach, because I love your donations every year. I'm a
perennial playoff contender.
You are, but you're just the step behind the best player in the league.
We split. I was second place 2 years ago.
Hey, does the coaching staff do fantasy football against each other or what?
I don't think so. I don't know. I might have to sneak my way into the players division.
So hear me out.
Hold on. Get me in on that. I'll go with you on that, and we'll dominate.
Okay.
Hey, honestly, the 1 year I did do it with Kintz, we did win it.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good. But I still think that I have a theory in the league that I'm in with Kintz that he is like, so it's me, Chatty, and Kintz, and then a bunch of Kintz's friends.
Mm-hmm.
Who was in it this year? Tanner Rourke. I knew that name. But I think Kintz runs like 10 teams, and then it's me and Chatty, and then so that's how he always wins.
They always do say that.
Hey, hear me out on this though. So instead of I see a lot of good punishments out there for the guy that comes to last place, like that Meza guy or whatever for the Blue Jays. That was hilarious. Like his record on the back of his jersey.
That's good.
I want to see someone have to sing the national anthem in a spring training game for losing.
Oh my God.
That's
high stakes right there.
That is high stakes. That's high anxiety, high stakes.
Yeah.
Wow. You might be guys that don't play.
I had a golf match with Kyle Loesch in spring training, and loser had to be the bat boy for a exhibition game, and I lost, and that was terrible. I gained a ton of respect for bat boys after that because I was exhausted.
Well, that's what happened.
Matt Garza would like throw bats up the line and roll balls out there, and I had to run out there. This was at Miller Park, so I had to run out there and get them.
That's great.
That's what happened with that Meza kid for the Blue Jays. Spring training game, they had his last name, his record for the league. It was like 3 and whatever, and he had to be the bat boy for the whole game. It was awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, Didi. Well, we appreciate your time, and you guys. I still picked the Cardinals to win. So over
Same with
Steve picked. Who'd you pick, Steve?
The Cardinals.
Brewers?
No, it's the one. That's the one we both agreed on. Yeah.
Oh, we both agreed on.
Yeah, Didi's.
So if you guys will need more help, we'll help you out on that one.
If we hit, we'll be okay. But we're getting to the point where we start hitting.
Hey, just
I don't know what to do. Hey, I resorted to throwing BP in my jockstrap in the cage the other day, and I was ripping rally cigarettes during the game, and it didn't work. So I don't know where I go next.
Well, have you shots before the game? Have you done that one yet?
I figured that's the next step, and then after alcohol, I don't know where. I told the GM like I don't know where this stops, but I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Just don't the game. Don't have Kins come in and talk to the team pregame because that did not go well for us in 19.
Well, I had better faith in Azalai at the time.
No,
but I should never have done a great rah-rah speech with a guy making his major league debut. That did not work out so well.
I might need you. I might have to fly.
I remember Javi Baez was like, "Great speech." Shut up. We fought back though. At least we fought.
Yeah. I know we could use some fight and some hits.
You just need who's the leader in that clubhouse? Who's the guy?
Like who speaks up?
Yeah, like who's like that guy runs the team?
Nolan and Goldie.
They talk
sometimes.
So now we'll play GM. We got to go find a guy that's going to just bring the energy.
Well, Wainwright and Molina are gone. Those guys were ultra vocal.
I think that's what kills that whole culture. You lost those two guys that were like, that was it.
They were awesome in my 2 months.
Matt Carpenter's here, but he's like rehab right now. But he's a guy that says what needs to be said. But
that's right.
He's not an everyday player, so it's a little different. But he's been good. He's been really good.
Sweet.
All right. Well, good luck. We'll have to check in with you later in the season, and hopefully
good.
You guys are in first.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right, boys.
Appreciate your time. Later.